All right, hopefully this is recording. So, I'm going to start very simple about what I've learned. That's going to be my entire objective for this presentation. And I will keep it to 5 minutes, right? So, the most important thing I learned is that nobody knows what the Slido poll is. Okay, that's not the most important thing, but I did learn that. And all of these answers are merely answers for my Slido poll. Now, I'm going to reflect on a few of the exercises which I've done over here. And the biggest thing is just about like what is design thinking itself, right? Um, so the main thing which I got from this is that it is a mindset first and foremost. It's a mindset that puts your users, your consumers at the forefront, right? Like so, every time you think about something, the empathy with your users what informs your whole process. So first, you speak with your team and you clarify what the problem statement is. You just have to clarify, you don't have to fix it. And then once you clarify it, then it's the ideation stage. The ideation stage is when like all humans have their own biases. So perhaps you could use AI for this process. And then you simply throw around a few ideas and you keep the user at the forefront. You try to avoid any biases that you have and you come up with a bunch of solutions. Once you've done the ideation, once you've brainstormed and thrown stuff against the wall, it's time to see what sticks. So quickly, rapidly deploy, build, test, iterate upon these cycles. This is where AI is super useful. Like I can mock up uh, entire video presentations, animations, storyboards, audio avatars, just code things up really quickly thanks to all these tools, and quickly iterate until I have an answer to this particular question. Is my are any of my ideas actually useful, and do they actually help the user? And lastly, is this actually viable? Can I implement it inexpensively enough? Does it provide the customers what they need? Is it actually intuitive to use by the customer? And then once that's done, once you have a template of what to solve, we move towards the industry level implementation, the deployment. And this is where we may have to go back a couple of steps, but we rope in the stakeholders. We actually set up a systems thinking approach and we build something which is scalable, easy to work with, and also keeps all of the principles we discussed beforehand in mind. Now, a key concept in like how the product should look like, a key heuristic is Maya, which in a nutshell, for me at least, it boils down to this. You should always be just at the forefront of innovation, but never actually at outside of the edge. Things should be intuitive, not confusing. The moment you have a feature which you need to explain the users how to use, you're missing things. Like for example, cursor never really came with a guidebook, right? You sort of saw that there was a prompt window over here, you typed stuff into that, it would make edits and everything was intuitive. That is really good design. Of course, not everything about cursor is great design, but the core functionality like the tab tool, wonderful. With their clientele are programmers have a certain mindset and they understand empathize the mindset, and therefore they build a great product from that. So that's that. And now I'm going to just speak about the various exercises over here. Like the hope and fears template, all the exercises are linked. You can find the Gemini chats in these particular things. The main thing which I got from this is that you want to be completely honest. Instead of getting bogged down into implementation details, granular stuff, ask yourself what you're afraid of, what you're anxious about, what you would really like, and why you're actually doing this. Hopes and fears, right? And then once you sort of know what you want, that puts you in a position to ask the five whys and sort of drill things down to their utmost essence. Once you drill things down to their utmost essence, the next thing becomes an implementation question, right? And that's the abstraction ladder. When you go up ladder, you ask sorry, you ask why something's done. And when you go down, when you get more and more granular, you ask how something is done. Then agents. Agents are beautiful. I use them all the time, and now they're also really really good. It's basically something wherein you can just send out into the world to do a task and come back to you later, so you can review its work. And my capstone is going to be an agents capstone, continuous training and deployment of agents. So well, the whole thing is going to be capstone. Now, the biggest takeaways for me were the ICP and anti-ICP. ICP, which customer segment in particular do I want to target? These are the guys who will respond to my product. These are the people who I want on my side, who I'll be selling to. And the anti-ICP, I don't want to market to them. I really don't want to deal with them. I do not want to target these people deliberately. The notion of these things was quite revolutionary to me because I just did not think of the market that way. And now I know what it is because it's intuitively, it makes sense, right? Like you're not going to build a product for literally everyone in the world. I mean, there are products which are for everyone in the world, but not every product is that sort of product. And this was really, really useful for me. Now I sort of think of who am I not building this for versus who am I actually building this for, and I'm going with a proper answer to that question. So turning customer research into shapes and faces, that's the role of personas, and that's where AI is super good. It's also really good at building a storyboard. So the problem which I'm using as a template is that, like, I hate the use of, I just don't like toilet paper. I think that bidets are superior. They're more hygienic, they're less wasteful, they're just like all around a better option. And this sort of shows in user experience. Here you have Anna. She is unsatisfied with her experience. She is racking up these huge bills and she's staring despondently at this bag full of toilet paper. Then, well, this is where she gets the first buy-in. She just uses the bidet, and Gemini is a little bit funky with the implementation, so I guess it's a very futuristic Japanese sort of bidet. But she uses a bidet, and then she just sees immediately that it's so much better and so much faster. And after she's used it for some amount of time, she starts playing around with more and more complex features like pressure and temperature, and that increases satisfaction. This leads towards her realization of her ROI. She sees that she's not spending any money on toilet paper because her bidet is good enough, and that leads full circle back into her advocating for this product to other people. And then once that's done, it goes into making reviews and becoming a full-throated diehard bidets versus toilet paper person. That's what we would like a customer life cycle to look like, right? We want them to try something out of frustration, get an get initial commitment, deepen that commitment, observe the ROI, become a convinced user, and then become an advocate for our product. So a tool which I saw on the slides, AI for audio markups, that's really cool because I would love to. I don't know. I think when I'm seeing a presentation, I hear a bunch of agents talking to each other. I think that's really cool, and that's a real factor. Also, buyers do resist new products because, like, that's what design thinking is all about, right? That's what the whole Maya principle is about. If it's too new, not good. So it's important to analyze how and why. So you sort of look at the ICP, you sort of look at a ton of things, and you figure out where the resistance is and what you can do about that. The creativity matrix for me, which I understood, was that you ask a very simple question. You have something, you have to do X, you have some problems Y, you have a bunch of factors F. How can I achieve slash solve slash do them with technology or with people? This helps me figure out what's the appropriate tool for everything. Lastly, you should really trace the customer journey all the way from the initial stuff to the final end so that we empathize with every aspect of the consumer experience and we can optimize it for them. And that concludes it for me. I think, like I said, the biggest aha notion was the anti ICP notion coupled with the ICP notion. And this is an honest reflection. As you can see, I've actually gone through the material and I have done my best to do everything there is and go beyond that. Thank you.